start with the next segment, which is basically the interface of Tableau. Now, what do you mean by the interface? This is the screen, or this is the part of Tableau where from which we interact with Tableau. Okay, so go ahead. So this is basically giving you a brief example of what are the different things. Okay, and the tab, I will show you and I'll explain to you each of the components of Tableau interface in just 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, through practical demonstration. The Tableau interface is the environment you will use to conduct your data analysis and create data visualization, including all of the software's functionalities. Essentially, this space is made up of several elements designed to help you as you work. Okay, so we'll go through each of these things one by one. So there is something called dimension, measure, sets and parameters, menu bar, toolbar. Okay, this is the place where the graph is actually generated. This is something called marks card. Okay, so these are the different components. We have file. The file tab contains functionalities related to the opening, closing, and saving files. Data is the place in the Tableau interface where you will find functionalities related to data source. Worksheet is the place it can be helpful. We want to create a new Tableau sheet, hide or show a chart's title, caption, summary, and so on. And this is the dashboard part. If you want to create a new dashboard, the analysis tab is where you can tweak your visualization in terms of labels, show figure as percentage of the total. I'll show you all of these one by one, because the thing is, you will not be able to get all of this in one go. The more you practice on Tableau, the more you will get to handy with what are the tools and the functionalities available. Okay. Now let me show you the original Tableau screen which we use. Okay. Now the first, whenever you open the Tableau screen, the first thing that you have is the data source. Okay. And if you want to connect with the multiple data sources, all right. So we already are aware of this part. Now, one of the important things that I wanted to show you that we discussed yesterday was metadata. So your table name is basically here in the sheets part, and there is this icon. If you click on this, you will basically get all your rows and columns, 9,994 rows and 20 fields or 20 columns. Okay. Now that is one thing. We already know how to change the data type of different columns. This is where the live connection or extracted connection can be made. Now, what do you mean? What is the use for this part? Okay. When you are working on data blending, which is the objective of the next class, then you will see how this data blending thing actually works. That means we are working with more than one data source. At that point of time, this place will make sense. Okay. Also, we already seen the connection page where I click on file, connect to Tableau source. Okay, this part. So this part we are already aware, and so yes, this is the place where we can connect to multiple data sources. If you have a file which is not here in as an Excel text or JSON or something like that, you can go to more options, and these are the different options which you will get. Okay, now this is the data source page. We have the data set, we have the type, field type, we have the metadata. See, now what I was talking about metadata, this is basically, if I expand this part, this is basically an example of a metadata where I have my field name or column name. Okay, and inside that field name I have the data type, and we can basically make sense of what is the meaning of each of the column or field names. Okay, and these are the values. And see, if you will see, there are not all the columns are not displayed here. So if you want all the columns, you can just click here and you'll get all the columns and all the values. Okay, now the next thing is if you see here, there is an option called sheet 1. This, like an Excel file, all your work, all your individual visualizations are generated in this sheet. Okay, this is sheet 1. If you go here, you will see new worksheet. So the more visualizations you are doing, you will be adding it to the sheets. Okay, after that, here, see, identify the different options. The first one is adding more sheets. Okay, this one is to add more sheet 2. This one is to create a new dashboard. Now, what is the objective of dashboard? Basically, you can put all your sheets, since now I made only one sheet, that sheet is visualized here. Okay, and suppose if I go to sheet 2, okay, and I want to see discount percentage versus profit. Okay, and I drag and drop subcategory into the detail. Okay, and I can change it as color also. So now, and I will explain what this sheet is basically. But I have created two sheets, right? Now two visualizations. Now I can drag and drop it here. So I have got two graphs. One is the discount versus profit, and one is the subcategory along with profit. Whatever is the thing, I want to do profit, subcategory profit. Let's say I give it as subcategory of profit, and here I rename as discount versus profit. Okay. Now, if I go to my dashboard, as you can see, it is showing discount versus profit and subcategory of profit. Now, what if I want to remove this? I'll have some extra space and I want to increase the size. I can do this also. Okay. And the more graphs you add, the more you need to adjust with the size. Okay. There is desktop browser. You're setting it for desktop browser. Okay. Now, let's say I want to increase the width. So the width will be increasing. And if I want to change the height, so they wait 1 second, the height has decreased. Suppose I want to do it like this. So now I can add even more files that I want. Okay. So if you want to change the height of the height and width of the dashboard, you do it using the size option here. Okay. Now, if you see, there are two. Whenever you are accessing the worksheet, the first thing is the data part. In the data part, I have my column names written. Okay. Now, here, if you see, these are the columns. Category. Inside my country, state, and city, I have three values: country, state, and city. Then customer ID and all these things. Now, these particular values, the these particular values are called dimensions. Okay. And they basically represent categorical data. That means name, numbers, not numbers, name, true or false, male. Okay. Where if you apply any addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all those operations do not make sense on categorical data. They are called dimensions. And the second set of values are called measures. Okay. And you can see here, I can write measures. And how do you identify that? See, here if you can see, it is written measure names, and these are the measures, discount. So here arithmetic operation is successful. Like if you do any arithmetic operation, it will give you a valid result. Same with profit, quantity, sales, shipment cost. Next, there are something called as, now we understood about generated fields, right? Now there are two ways of doing generated field. One is based on the requirement of our use case, we will create generated field, which we will be practicing later on in the course. Now, suppose now the thing is, see here, in the data set, I have country, state, and city. With the help of country, state, and city, what Tableau has done is it has basically created something called as latitude and longitude. So with the help of, so these are the powerful features of Tableau. If you give it zip code or postal code, even then it will be able to generate latitude and longitude. Now, is it generating latitude and longitude for the entire Earth? No, it is only generating latitude and longitude for the place, for the country, state, and city, which is mentioned in your data set. So suppose you are giving country, state, and city from India, then it will create the latitude and longitude for Indian regions. And when you place latitude, suppose, so this is now I create a new worksheet. Here I place latitude, and here I place longitude. Okay, it has created the map. Now, after creating the map, what I want is I want to first feature the country. So I will take country into detail. So once the country is detailed, now we realize that it is United States. Now I have the states also. If I want the states, I will drag it into detail. Okay. Then I am able to mark all the details, like all the states. Okay. Country, United States, state, Nevada. Now finally, if I want to drag city, I want to see it city wise. Okay. Then you got all the city options. So let's say I click somewhere here, then city, Grand Island, country, United States, state, Nebraska. Now let's say I want to see profit for each of these regions. So I will drag profit. Okay. And now if you click on any part, you will see Bellingham, United States, state, Washington, profit $611. Okay. So now what is, so this is the meaning of generated field. Now these are generated fields which the Tableau has automatically generated, right? What if we want to work with generated field from our own custom requirements? Then there is a way to do that. How you will do that? There is an option here called analysis. When you click on analysis in the tool, in the menu bar, there is an option called analysis. And in the analysis, there is an option called create calculated field. Here you will give the name of the field, and here you will write the syntax or the query to generate the calculated field. We will see that later. Okay. Now, there is not only one calculated field. Okay. You have seen latitude, longitude. Now there is something else. Can you see this orders count? Basically, Tableau, what it will do is when you will give it the entire data set, it will give you a count of all the records which are there. Okay. So orders is the name of the table. So if you go to the data source, the name of the table is orders. Now, if you go here, orders count means it is giving me a count of the number of rows which are there in the orders table, which we can use for finding out certain specific things, or which may need for specific visualizations. Okay. Now there is also something called measure values and measure names. Okay. So let's say what is the use of measure names. So, see, latitude and longitude will not be generated always. Okay. But okay, latitude and longitude will not be generated always, but the orders count, not only orders count, so the count field will always be generated, which will be like the telling you the number of records in your table. The next is the measure names and measure values. Now let's say I drag and drop measure names into columns. And measure values. Now let's say I drag and drop it. Now, what are my measure names? Count, discount, profit, quantity, sales, and shipment cost. And as you can see, these four were given in the data set already. Orders count is something that they have calculated. Okay. Now, latitude and longitude do not come under measures because they are generated and also they are geographical locations. Okay. So you cannot do addition, subtraction, and do get certain specific output. But when it comes to other measures, basically means numerical data, numerical columns, and on those numerical columns, if you apply any kind of mathematical operation, it will give you a result. Okay. So that is the meaning of measures, the objective of measure names and measure values. Suppose you want to see like the total value of profit. If you go here, the total value of profit is 286,397. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is the total sum of values in the profit column is this much. The total sum of value in the sales column is this much. The total sum of value in the shipment cost column is this much. So when you plot a measure name versus measure values, you will get a basic idea of what is the sum. What is the sum? Okay. And also one more thing. What is the sum of each measures and what are the names? So along with the name, you can plot it. Now, suppose you don't want sum. You want to see, let's say average. So see here, I have measure values, right? What I can do is, let's say go to sum of discount percentage, and I want to see here, you can see the option measure shelf. From measure shelf, it is actually calculating the sum and giving me what I want average. So if I choose average, and for this also, I will choose average. Okay. And if you can see, the average discount and average profit is completely gone. Okay. Sum of quantity. If I do average, see, it's less than 0K. Okay. If you take zero, average discount percent 0, average profit percent 0, 29, average profit is 29. So it's showing less than 0K. Average quantity 4. Okay. Instead of sum of sales, I want to show average sales. So average sales is 230. And instead of sum of shipment cost, I want to see average of shipment cost. So if you do that, you will get something like 9. Okay. So average sales, average, and count, you cannot change count of orders. There's nothing you can do with that because Count orders means basically it is telling me the number of records. So what is the total number of records? Near 10K. That is 9,994. And if you go to the data source also, how many records are there? 9,994. So this is the meaning of the measure name, measure values, and count of orders. The count of orders will change basically. Whatever is the name of your table, based on that, you will get the count field. But other than that, everything will be same. Okay. Now you understand. This is dimensions. This is measures. Okay. Now this is called basically your 1 second. Okay. Now this is basically called my menu bar. Okay. So the menu bar will have file. So you can create new, open, close, save as. This is regular menu bar. Any software tool that you will be using will have the same menu bar, except for suppose I want to print to PDF. Okay. So if I want to print to PDF, it will show me the entire workbook. Paper size is A4, portrait. Okay. And let's say I take it to downloads and I say book one, enter, and let's see if it is taken to. So what I've done is I've exported my entire workbook to a PDF file. So subcategory versus profit, discount versus profit, and then the dashboard. Okay. So, and also count of sales versus that. If you want, you can only publish one particular worksheet, or you can publish your entire workbook on as a PDF file. Okay. So that is how you can export your work. That is one of the options to export your work basically. Now the next one is uh, print to PDF. There is also something called as share. We can do this on Tableau Cloud, but one thing we will do is we'll not do Tableau Cloud right now. We'll do it at the end, like after we have done some work. You can also export it as a PowerPoint. So if I export it as a PowerPoint and this view export, and I will put it in the book one. So if you can see, this is the PowerPoint file that was created, and this is the output of the PowerPoint file. So file created, date and timestamp is given. And if you go to the second slide, you will see that the current sheet which I was, that has been exported as a PPT file. Okay. If you want, you can export your entire dashboard as a PPT file for explanation later on to your clients or your supervisors. Now, that is one of the objectives on how you can export it. Okay. So now what is the use of this? We saw what is the option, file menu bar, then data. If you want to connect your new data source, you go here, which we will do tomorrow in the next class. Now worksheet. Now see here also there is an option to create a new worksheet, or you go to worksheet option, create a new worksheet. If you click on copy, you can copy image, data, export the image or data. Okay. Then tooltip, we will see what is tooltip. That is an important part of the next upcoming modules. And there are a lot of things which you can do here. Then dashboard, we see how to create a new dashboard. Then we'll learn what's a story after some time. Okay, first we need to understand how is a dashboard and try to create a simple dashboard. Analysis part, analysis is very, very important option in the menu bar. There are a lot of things you can do. Okay, see here I'm taking aggregate measures. If I don't take aggregate measures, these are the, see what is the difference in the graph now. Where if aggregate measure is selected, it will always take one or the other aggregate functions. Now, what is the meaning of aggregate? Some type of consolidation. What are the different kinds of consolidation you can do? If you click on this down arrow and see the measure, you can do sum, average, median, count, distinct count. Now, the difference between count and distinct count is when you do a count operation, basically all the rows will be calculated. But when you do a distinct count, not all the rows, but unique rows will be calculated in that particular column. Minimum, maximum, percentile. What are the different percentile? 5, 10, 25, 50, 75, 90, 95. Standard deviation and population standard deviation. Now, actually, when it comes to, see, all of this is based on statistics. Okay, old school statistics. Now, in statistics, there are two concepts which are called population and sample. See here also standard deviation and standard deviation of the population, variance and variance of the population. Let's say I will explain to you the concept of what is a population and what is a sample. If you are trying to work on a let's say the consensus of the entire city, let's say you have taken the consensus of the entire city and you are trying to do some sort of analysis, like how many men are there, women are there, children are there, what is the age bracket, right? What is the how many working class are there, how many people are doing corporate jobs, how many doing government jobs, how many are still completing their education, okay, how many are in India, how many have left India for job purpose or permanently, all that thing. You are doing a sort of analysis. If you have, let's say you have 100 people in your city, if you are doing the analysis on the 100 people, then that 100 is called the population, okay. But if you do not want to work on 100, you take a sample from that, okay, and then you work on that sample. Let's say from 100 you have taken 60, okay, and that sampling, the process of taking a sample from a population is called sampling. And if you want to work on a sample, you have to pick the sample in such a way that it covers all kinds of records, okay. It's not like you have taken the first 60 and different kinds of values from the last 40 are not considered. You have to do the sampling process in such a way that all the kinds of data are available in your sample. And then when you do the analysis on the sample, then it is, then either you can do the analysis on the population or you can do the analysis on the sample. That's why there are two options. Either you can do the analysis, either you can do the standard deviation and variance on the entire population, or you can do it on the sample, okay. Now why we came to this aggregation function was, if we remove this aggregation function, okay, and we go to the 1 second, see here, right now it has selected average, okay. What if I go to analysis and remove aggregate measures? Now it is giving me a, this is basically, that was a bar graph, okay, and this is called a scatter plot. And if you see a scatter plot, if you take this, count of orders is 1, discount percentage 1. Why it is showing me 1? What is the meaning of this 1? Basically what is happening is, it is giving me the total value of the number of columns. So how many discount percentage columns are there? 1. How many orders are there? Count of orders 1. Okay, profit 8,400, decreasing, decrease. So all the different profit values which are available have been highlighted here. All the different sales value from the beginning to the end have been highlighted here. The shipment cost 0, quantity 0, okay. So that's why whenever we go to analysis, this aggregate measures is actually highlighted, selected by default. But if there is a visualization where you don't need that, you can uncheck that option and then you can make it. And there are other things like trend lines. We'll see what are trend lines. Then there are filters, uh, highlighters, parameters, calculated field. These are the major things that we need. We should, when we learn work with Tableau, it is very easy to do drag and drop and then create field, then get the graph. But the major task for a Tableau developer is to use calculated fields, sets, parameters, okay, filters, highlighters. And when you use all these options and then you create your visualization, you'll be able to create advanced, complex visualization, but which can be interpretable. Okay. Now, there is also, this is the menu bar. There is map option. Okay. Format. Now, this format is related basically with the entire format of the Tableau thing, not with the map, not with the visualization. But there is something called as the toolbar. Okay. Now, if you see the toolbar, this is for undo, this is for redo. Okay. This is, if you are implementing some kind of animation, we will see that. Then you can do replay animation. Okay. You can save your work. That work can be saved as a, as I show you, Tableau extract file or something else. Now, you can connect to a new data source. You can pause auto updates, all these things. This is basically, I think, for the new worksheet or something. Let's see. New worksheet, duplicating a current worksheet. If I want to see clear sheet, everything that I've done will be removed. Okay. Now, also, let's say I want to do subcategory wise profit. Okay. If I'm doing subcategory wise profit and I want to arrange it in increasing or decreasing order, there are two options. If I do this, it will be arranged in increasing or decreasing order. If I do this, it will be arranged in the increasing order. Okay. This is basically for highlighting, which we'll see later. And this is the menu. So this is the menu bar, toolbar, how you can work with menu and toolbar, what are dimensions, what are measures. Then see here, there is something called analytics. Once your visualization is done, you need to work with the analytics. Okay. And this is like the major component. But data visualization is easy and simple, maybe 3 to 4 classes and you will be able to get good in it. But this is where most people get stuck, which is the analytics part. And we'll be focusing more on this part after 50% of the course is completed. Okay.